welcome back. In the book of Revelation, it says that the fearful will have their place in the lake of fire. Some translations may say cowardly. So, what does this mean if you aren't very brave? Does this mean you have to go to hell? We want to take a look at that today. So, I want to note that in our authentic Hebrew manuscript, it doesn't actually say cowardly. It goes straight to the second description, which is those who do not believe. However, an argument can be made that only the ones who have been perfected will go to heaven, that we can't fall short. It says, "Be perfect as my Father in heaven is perfect." And the one who has the power to throw you in the lake of fire, fear him only. So if there's something that we're fearful of, it means this world still has a hold over us in that area. So the only thing that we need to fear is Messiah, who has this power to cast us into the lake of fire. The Bible does command us to fear God. So if there's anything we're fearful of, then this is something that we're not connected to in this world. So if we think that this world is evil, or people are evil, or something is evil that the Bible doesn't say is evil, then we are cutting ourselves off from this experience of life that God has given for us to experience. So, talking about being perfect, what does this have to do with the opposite is being fearful? It says that love has been perfected among us in this, so that we may have boldness in the day of judgment, because as he is, so are we in this world. So if Messiah was perfect, then we are also called to follow in his footsteps and reach this level of perfect love. If we have perfect love, we're keeping all of Torah. So it's not so much about the outward appearance, but that it's coming from a perfect love within. God is love. So if we're attached to love, then we're attached to God. And if we have love, this perfect love, it casts out fear. So if we have fear, then we have not yet been perfected in love. So it says, to the pure, all things are pure. But to someone who is still fearful or unbelieving, then they're going to see things as impure. And somebody who is pure, the pure of heart, they're able to see God. So having a fear is blocking you from connecting with God. So that seems odd. If we have a fear of something in this world, if we're cutting ourselves off from people, how is this blocking us from seeing God? Well, all of creation is actually an expression of who God is. It all comes from him. And within everything, there is a pure light. So instead of seeing what is passing away, just the shadow that's covering up this light, just the shell that's passing away, to see God within all things, within all circumstances, within all people. If you treat people in a humane way, you're drawing out the God that is in them. If somebody has love, that is God, that God is love. And so you're connecting with God and you're drawing that out of people. But if you treat people in a death or a negative type way, then that's what you're drawing out. You're drawing out temporary things, and you're showing that that's what you are connected with, and you're connecting with other people in that way. And that's what is actually kind of bringing about the apocalypse. So, some things that I've learned. First of all, that I was raised to be fearful. Nobody ever came out and taught me and said that you should be fearful, but just that the first reaction from leaders tended to be, don't trust people, stay away from strangers, and those are good things to teach the children, to have some caution. But when your reaction is that you're this victim, that the world is out to get you, and don't, like I was afraid of like selling things to people on Facebook Marketplace, that inviting somebody over to your house who's a stranger. But I found that um, basically everyone, even though a couple people walked away with a couple small items, it wasn't a big deal. Um, that overall, everyone is connected and overcoming these battles that the world faces us with, these temptations. And overall, like, we all battle, but that doesn't mean that we are what we battle. And so even if somebody um, is overcome temporarily, that the light in us is far greater, and everybody has this light in them, and this desire to love, to be loved, to show kindness, to connect with others. So I've been learning that overall, the entire body of people is still very loving, contrary to what the news may teach us, that we need to be shut off, that we need to be shut in, to protect ourselves from anybody who's different than us, and we need to be cut off from different denominations, different beliefs. That really you can see God in all things. And there is this command that of all that is clean, you shall eat of. So we can learn that this can be the way that we see life, that if something is clean, then we shouldn't get to the throne of heaven and God asks us, well, why didn't you enjoy this nice food or this nice experience? And you say, well, I was fearful that maybe I would do it wrong, that I'd go about it the wrong way. And he says, no, no, I put you here to help you learn about me, because God is unknowable. So we have an experience that angels are envious of. In this world, we're able to know, like, give definition to what is undefinable. We can know God by observing creation, by getting our hands dirty in just the day-to-day things that we do, having a garden, watching The Chosen, that they are very hands-on in doing their own tasks instead of hiring somebody to do it for them. And that is how we learn about God, because it's an expression of who he is. So it's like he limits himself in creation, even though he's limitless. And so in these finite terms, we're able to begin to know the infinite. But if we cut ourselves off, if we have this mentality that I need to go off in the woods somewhere, even though it may seem good to be connected with nature, the ultimate thing that we needed to be connected with is people, because this is the ultimate expression that God shows himself through, like the highest form of creation. So if we cut ourselves off from people, then we're making ourselves vulnerable and weak, like a hand that's disconnected from the body. It's not going to be able to survive. A body needs, the more members of the body that a body has, the healthier the body is. You're going to be in a lot of pain or struggle if you're missing even just a couple of your body parts. So everybody's different. So the more variety of people you connect with, the more you are connecting with God. These two things are parallel. To love God is to love others. To love others is to love God. And God told Peter not to call unclean what he had cleansed. And he was talking about all the nations, of all people, that they are in the body, even if they do not yet realize this. I believe that we all do have this higher soul. So it's only our lack of knowledge that's causing us to perish. If you can help people know that they do have this hope, that they are not cut off in Messiah, that they can connect with God, who is all existence. That's what his name means, the existent one, like life. If you help people realize that they aren't cut off like this and they don't have to be in this fearful state, that we really, our higher self is actually infinite, that's connected with God, that's seated with Messiah right now in the heavenly places. If we realize that that's our true identity, and that our true identity isn't this limited form that is passing away, that like that's not our true definition of who we are, that's so limited that we have to be so careful to protect our body. But when we're connected with this higher life, then really nothing can harm us in any way. When we're connected with love, when we're keeping all of Torah, God says in his Torah that all these blessings will follow you and nothing will in any ways harm you. So connected with this higher form of love, our higher soul, existence, God, love, all these same things, then we have nothing to be fearful of. If we think we are our body, then we are very limited, and it'd be understandable why people would be afraid, but that would mean that they're not actually connected with God, because perfect love doesn't have fear. So if we have this perfect love, if we are perfect, we are connected with God, and like even if our body dies, we still exist. Our existence is in our body. That's just a temporary state that we are in. Just like Messiah, we don't know him after the flesh anymore. That's not his true identity, his body. So we have this higher soul that is eternal and unchanging. So if you struggle with anxiety, if there's something you're still fearful of, does this mean that you're on your way to hell? No, I do not think so. And the reason is that your struggles are not your identity, that you do have this higher connection. And it says that love covers a multitude of sin, and that includes your lower soul. The Jewish belief is that you have like this animal soul, and then you have this higher, more intellectual soul that is able to process, to think things through, to have knowledge, understanding, wisdom. And this is how you can dominate over just your base instincts, which are not necessarily bad, um, but your higher identity is where that perfect love can come from. So as long as we're fighting, as long as we're overcoming, um, then we are in the state of perfection. It's not that if you have temptations, that these temptations are who you are. So as long as you have love, love is what overwhelms. If you have the light of God's word, and this is what you're allowing to push back your darkness. Okay, so in this world, just because you have struggles, these do not define you. Somebody who is very brave has to be brave because they're fearful of so many things, of maybe losing somebody. So if you're not afraid, you're also not brave. Um, so this world has these opposites, but you need to let the love, let the good, let the light overwhelm the other side. So in this world, I don't know of anybody who's perfect yet, but we are reaching for that level of perfection. And when we see him, we will see him as he is, and we will be like him. in that moment. So that's what we're striving for. And it's only really our lower souls that go and are cast into this lake of fire. Our higher souls are eternal, um, is how I see it. So, anyway, I hope some of that was helpful for you. And thanks for joining, and I pray you are blessed.